Thank you, Sierra. Welcome, Douglas County citizens. My name is Kelly Robinson, and this is the June 22nd, which is a Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 Transportation Committee of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Again, I'm Kelly Robinson. I am the chair of this particular committee, and we've got a pretty solid agenda today. As is our custom, we're going to establish our roll call to ensure that we have a quorum. Again, I'll start with myself, Kelly Robinson, chair of the committee.
Dr. Ramon Bethany Jones, the vice chair of the committee.
Secretary, Deputy County Administrator.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley, Assistant County Administrator.
Miguel Valentin, Transportation Director. Keith Cowart, Public Works Director.
I'm Roberts, Connect Douglas Director.
Okay. That was all of us. All right, that establishes our quorum of 7, and that all members are present and accounted for. Thank you so much. Miguel Valentin, so now we're up to our first agenda item, which should be meeting minutes from our last meeting. Can you establish that and make the motion, please, for adoption?
Yes, sir. We have distributed the minutes of the May 17th, 2022 Transportation Committee meeting. Unless there's any edits or corrections from the floor, they would be ready for adoption.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and if there's no edits, amendments, or changes to meeting minutes, if there's no objections to that, I'm going to let the meeting minutes stand as presented. It sounds like everybody's okay. So administrative concurrence. Keep moving, Miguel. The minutes have been adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is from Transit, the First Amendment to the Aging Subgrant Agreement, and Ron Roberts is going to present that. Ron?
Hey, Miguel. So, yeah, it looks like, and I tried to check with Jessica, she's out with COVID, but it looks like this got put on a while back for us to move on, and with the ARC. So we have a need to go ahead and apply for that funding for the voucher program. We also have the opportunity, we've been in discussion to capture some program income to get some people off the waiting list. But yeah, outside of that, I'm available for any questions.
Yeah, and if I may, Ron, the agreement for this fiscal year was in place. I think this is a supplemental agreement to change the amount of the grant. So this will get us additional funding to help with that voucher program.
That's correct.
Okay, so thank you. So this is it. What is our current voucher amount? How many people do we satisfy? Or
We have 70 people on the waiting list right now. I know that when we did the calculation, we would get a good many of these off. That's what we're trying to do.
all right, let me try this one more time. Madam Chair, when we first you first came in back in 17, this is something that you and Commissioner Mocha and I had great wits about, and I think it was almost unanimous for the board, which is we shouldn't have a list. That list was long at that time, and that was one of the first initiatives that you did to sort of lean in. You don't have to respond. I'm going to give the story that we leaned in. Mm-hmm. Like, let's knock this down. We took money out the general fund. We did certain things like, guys, this is right before we got into the bus conversation. Right? This is the whole mobility and fiscal, all that. So I'm giving context. So I want to know how much have we progressed since then. In other words, how many people have been on the list? How many people have fallen off? I'd like to have an annual. Do y'all have that data, first of all? And then again, you're saying it's going to knock off, but how many will it knock off? All 70? 40? At that time, I think we had like 100 something. And we just said, man, come on, guys, just knock the list off.
Right.
Right, so
I understand.
Quantify it a little bit more for us. Are we ready for this conversation? Are you ready to have that level of detail right now?
No, I'm not. I don't have that in front of me right now.
All right. So is there a date certain this has to be done by? This IGA? Is there an expiration date?
Like I said, I've been trying to track this item down since this morning, so
Okay.
I'm not really sure. Miguel, did you put this on the agenda, or did I?
I think you did.
Gentlemen, okay, we're gonna table this for right now. We're not ready to move any further until we get a little bit more detail. So, again, you've got a missing member. Get up to speed on what this is, and just again have some data with us to talk about the historical and the impact, because it's an important program. I don't want it to be lost, to be marginalized or invalidated because of just technically how we're coming to the meeting. But this was important. That voucher is an option for mobility.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially when you get to seniors and the disabled. So, nevertheless, let's get more detail on that one. So we're going to pause this for right now. No action, no love lost. And with that being said, we're going to just keep moving here until we're ready to talk about this. But let's just keep going. Next item, please.
Okay, next item is an update from Public Works. Heath?
Mr. Coward, Director Coward, come on up. Good afternoon.
One second. Start. Okay, hey, good afternoon,
Yes.
everyone. So updates, we have Yellowstone they started work, I believe on 6/13. So right now I can just tell you the miles completed so far as in like 119, they've got 127 left to go. So, and then litter, they've picked up 167 miles worth of litter, 80 to go. And the mowing is 167 with an additional 79 to go. So that's the only hard specs I've got. Everybody else with the new contracts are waiting to kick off. Russell starts on the 1st. The I-20 landscaping and the paving contracts are still with the attorney's office, and then coming out to us. Our in-house crews, they've been mowing, patching potholes, dirt road maintenance, just normal in-house maintenance. So that's all I really have to report. And if you have any questions, sir.
No, that was very sufficient and on point. I got it. I followed everything you said. So, to the committee members, this is just a status and update. We recognize that the current resurfacing will go forth as soon as it comes out of County Attorney Coleman's office. That's fine. We get it. You guys kept that moving. Madam Chair, I'm fine where we are unless any of the rest of the committee members have a question. With none, thank you, Heath. Let's keep that going. Director Valentin, next item.
Yes, sir. Next item is a discussion. Well, actually, we have a design proposal on the Spine Road for the Foxfield Holder development, the TAD area off of State Route 92. Let me share my screen to see if I can pull up a graphic of. Okay. Something that will give you a sense of what the location and the scope of what we're trying to do. Okay. All right, can you see the map?
Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Okay,
Good.
good.
I gotta give you feedback. Okay. Yeah, you do. Go ahead.
Okay, so at the bottom of the page, the road, and hopefully you can see my cursor, that would be the Reroad Extension. And this is State Route 92. And of course, below the plan sheet would be where they meet. There is going to be a signalized, or there is a signal there, but that intersection is going to be upgraded to make this connection. So At the bottom of the sheet is the Reroad Extension, a project that has been in preliminary scoping for the last 2 years at least. This area here is the part of the TAD area, and the road that is bounded by the red here on both sides, at least for a segment of it. This is what we refer to as the spine road. So this road, it is intended to have a signalized intersection added here. Right now, the road, State Route 92, has a median that does not allow for access to that site from the other side, from the northbound lane. So this is proposed to be a signalized intersection. This road has, for a length of it, has an 80-foot right-of-way, then it tapers down to 60 feet behind after this bend here. What you see here schematically is subject to adjustment, change in the future, but essentially what the proposal is at this time is there would be a hotel built at this corner of the Spine Road, at the intersection of the Spine Road and State Route 92. The access to the hotel would be from the rear, would be from this road here. Let me try and make that a little bigger to see if you can, is that better? Can you see that a little better?
Yes, much better.
Okay, good. So, so this is the Spine Road, and this is labeled as Road C. There's a hotel here, some commercial proposed in this area. This is another, Road B is another access road for this development. However, this is right in, right out only. So there is no median cut here. The Spine Road design, the county agreed to take over delivery of the road, at least contribute to it. And so one of the tasks that we have to complete early on is to get a design consultant on board to design the signalized intersection and design the configuration of this road all the way back to where it ties in, eventually doubles back and it ties in with the proposed Reroad Extension. So that is the task at hand. We do have a number of on-call design consultants, and we just essentially go down the list. And we have obtained, we went to the next consultant on the list, and that would be Atkins North America, Inc. And we've obtained a proposal for them to do the design. Now, typically, when we do a design of this magnitude on a road project, we also, as part of the initial effort, try to cost out what it would take for a consulting firm to manage the construction or to administer the construction of the project. So the design consultant came back with a proposal of $904,361.60 to do the design of the intersection and the road. And then, yeah.
Did you say 904 million?
Yes. No, I'm sorry. 904,000. I'm sorry. My bad.
You know, I'm thinking, flyover type money. Okay, you good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's a little too rich, even for my book. $904,361.60. And then for construction administration would be $550,516.58 for a total of $1,454,878.18. Now, even though initially we obtained a proposal for the entire effort, we don't always and don't have to award it all at one time. So we do have have the upper desired to this particular consultant or the construction administration, or we could have a different consultant do the construction administration. So that is up to county decision. But so that's where we are. We have a commitment to both the Foxfield development, which is the one in this illustration would be below the road or to the south of the Spine Road, and then the Holder property or the movie studio, which would be in this area here. And both of them are dependent on this access road being constructed, designed and constructed within a period of 18 months, which is super ambitious. However, the sooner we get the design going, the better chance we have of getting close to meeting that target. So that's where we are, and I'll stop there and open it up for a discussion.
Thank you, Director Valentini. Yes, this project is very important. It is something that the full board has expressed in open floor on the importance of it as far as sort of a signature area for the county. We know what the city is doing, the city, but the county does its own thing, finds its own value, its own identity in other areas. So we're excited about this destination point for the county. Now, two things. You mentioned hotel. Now, we had a conversation in open floor. It was at our planning and zoning meeting, so I'm going to extend that conversation to it now. But at that meeting, there was a problem with the 80-foot turn.
I think that's going to be very impactful as they start to talk to voters across the state. The lieutenant governor's race will be interesting, where you have Democrats, Charlie.
Thank you. Go ahead, Vice Chair. I'm sorry.
You're muted, Vice Chair.
You're muted, Vice Chair. Let me see. There you go.
I'm back. Thanks, guys. All right. So again, hotel. There was a conversation during the last planning and zoning, an open meeting, and it was expressed that there was some concerns by one of the developers regarding the Spine Road and taking a right of way, the 80 feet versus the 21 east side. Don't need to get into that right now. My point is, at that time, the hotel was going to be at a certain spot. Are we saying that it's now been moved and it has room to do what it needs to do, or is just designed based on that? I'm gonna stop there. Let you respond, Miguel.
No, this particular graphic still shows it at the original location. There is the potential for it to move from there, but nonetheless, neither of the two configurations addresses the right-of-way that we were discussing on the north side. That would be part of the Holder property. Now, if we had to design the road strictly within the 80 feet that we have at the moment, without any additional right-of-way from the Holder property, we could do that. It would be tight, but we would be able to design it that way. We may have to not have a symmetrical configuration where you have sidewalk on both sides and all the street lighting and everything on both sides, because there may not be sufficient room on the north side. But certainly the Spine Road could accommodate both access to both properties within the 80 feet that we do have if we have to.
All right. So, and this is why I'm glad we're going to talk about project management tonight, because there's a need to synchronize these other efforts, and y'all are not aligned. And you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're driving. You're moving. You're moving. But I'm like, okay, guys, that's going to be an issue. I can't sit here in good faith. Preliminary, it's marking us. It makes us seem like we agree with that's where it's supposed to be. Right, and so there's no synchronization of this. And it's not your issue. I get it. I'm fine. I appreciate the effort that you're doing. We're moving along. So don't get me wrong. But Madam Chair, this back to the project management. Who's coordinating all these stakeholders? Now, surely I can sit here and do this. This is not my job, though. I'm sitting here looking at that. Okay, that's going to be an issue. That's going to be a real issue. Somebody needs to be, there's these different rules that oversees everything. So I'm gonna let this go. Again, you wanted to pause. I heard you say you're trying to award a contract. So let's get back to what the ask is. The ask was roughly about $1,000,00900,000 for design work, and then $500,000 for what? Now, guys, he's talking about awarding a contract based on our on demand. Going down the list, we authorized him to move fast. He's moving. Pay attention. I don't want there to be any challenges later. Not that it would, Miguel. I just got to say it. Right? This is fast. All right. So, Miguel, that being said, I want to pause and see what other people have to say. I know, Madam Chair, and y'all, we can wait for your voices because I'm not going to move in this moment without really hearing what y'all got to say because this is major. What y'all do about the hotel, though? I'm not going to agree to a road that's going to slice him down. I can't do that. Who would want what? Why we want to create a design that compromises one of the stakeholders? And the point is, we're just running down the street because we can. We ain't got to worry about that. But I'm like, you don't, I do. I have to be the one like, okay, but what's in the greater good? How do we balance this thing and have equity across the board versus just, again, the government comes to just mow stuff down. Somebody's trying to put, big chips in here, and then we don't just give them a little cheese, little corn over here. Like, well, y'all got 29 acres across the street. Like, and so that's my point. Where's my development authority in this? So has Chris Pumphrey signed off on this design? Has he looked at this at all, Miguel?
Yes, he has, and I've had a number of meetings involving him and both the Foxfield group and the Holder group as well. And just as a point of clarity, Vice Chair, the Foxfield folks were the ones that put together this graphic, so they are well aware of the additional right-of-way that's required on their side, and they are fine with moving the hotel, sliding it south of the original location by 20 feet. So they have signed off on this. They put together this graphic. The ones that I'm still having discussions with are across the street on the north side of the Spine Road, and that would be the movie studio. But as it relates to the hotel, they're well aware of where the road will land, and they're okay with it on that side.
They're okay with, all right, but have you talked to the hotel? Are they in agreement? It's not your job. Everybody's saying, well, yeah, I'm okay with just 20 feet, but you're not acknowledging my point. It's not enough space for the hotel that was proposed in the original vision. There's no parking. You're not going to put a hotel motel there, guys. Know what this does. They're saying the developer doesn't care. Like well, okay. You want to be there with these guys, that's all the space you're going to get. It's like, no, I get it's our condition, our road is sort of threadless. I get it. It's not good enough. All right, so it's like, who's going to work through all this? I mean, look, I'm going through, we understand negotiations. It's not our job to get in there, but it's our job to oversee it. But I just need to be some thoughtfulness to this. So I'm going to pause. Any committee members? Let me keep this going. I won't be here for 6. Committee members, y'all want to weigh in on this? I'm not certain I'm ready to actually push it on forward to the board for, I get it, but I can't in my right spirit support this right now until I get more answers back. I want to hear back from who's going to tell me definitively. Don't slide a hand me to move the project along to award the contract. I'm fine with that. But it's caring for the whole vision, like caring for the whole county. I got to care. So, thoughts, Deputy, what do you think?
Just listening in, Vice Chair, and listening to what Miguel was saying about, I wanted to hear the feedback from the Development Authority as well as Kitchen Holder and his group. I agree with your thoughts about the concerns that you have. Some of the roads are a little too tight, or what have you. I would just suggest that we as a county meet with our Development Authority, get more feedback feedback from them. I don't think we've been talking to one another as much as we, I'm excited about what's coming. I just want to make sure that we do it the right way. So if you have concerns, I want to make sure that those are addressed. But personally, I'm excited about what's coming, and I don't really have any reservations. I'm going to, yield to Miguel. This is his wheelhouse. If he's fine with how things are proceeding, then I have to yield to that. But if you have concerns, Vice Chair, my recommendation would be that we address those concerns. This is huge for the county. I was happy to hear that you say, the city has their identity. The county needs to have our own. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in downtown Douglasville. We can pick our side of town or wherever that might be. I particularly like where we are. I'm being biased because I'm in District 2, and this happens to be around in that area as well. So that's my thoughts. Let's make sure that all our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed before we pull the trigger on this. And it looks like we're close.
All right, so let's do this, Miguel. I'm not ready to sign off as, or to bring it forth as a recommendation to the board because there's still, that needs to be answered. And Deputy, you bring up a good point. Yeah, Miguel is the project manager by default, and all he's responsible is for the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. Exactly. Like he's doing his thing. All he has to be concerned is the road. Like, look, and that's my point. It's like, okay, Miguel, you don't know about this, but Miguel, should you okay, guys? That's my point. So anyway, you get it. So, is there anything that would prohibit this from waiting? I'm willing to go to. I'd rather have a full conversation with the board since this is a Foxville. It's always been a development. If we took it straight to the board next meeting on next Thursday and had a discussion and see where they want to go, I'm fine as is, but I'm not yet ready to make a recommendation based on this. I need more answers, and I think we would want to as a committee, like guys, we're fine with the contract. At least I see the contract. I get it. I'm fine with the process that you walked about doing that. We're sensitive. Your road is your road configuration. It's 80. It is what it is. Them big trucks, they got to swing, timber. I got it. But is it going to realize the vision that we had, or is it just going to be about that studio? And that's not what the board agreed to. It agreed to all those elements. And so if there's something we're doing as government that's knocking off one of those elements, I want to know, okay, well, can we adjust some kind of way? That's not Miguel's job. He's just transportation, but who's coordinating all this? Where's my economic development, or where's my project manager? So we can't answer the question right now. So Miguel, are you okay with that? To the next meeting, recommendation?
Yes,
Time. I know the board told you keep moving, so I don't want to slow this down, but I can't draw forth a recommendation for the committee based on what we got right here, and those guys are not here to defend themselves.
Yeah, no, I understand, Vice Chair. I understand your concern, and I don't know that we're going to have an answer to all those issues by the next board meeting. So what I would say is that probably what needs to happen is a meeting between all of the parties and the development authority before we finalize and come back to the board with award of the contract. My concern, as you explained, was we don't have a lot of time, and I was trying to get it going as quickly as we could, but there are other lingering issues that we could use more clarity on.
Right. Wait a week. Every week counts, but you always want to start off right. And the further you get down, it's always harder. It costs more, right, to fix it. So duly noted. I think we can wait till at least the next Thursday, the next work session. And, right. So here you are moving a whole road. You mean they can't set up a meeting with 5 people? Right? How hard is that? So how do you work through a whole proposal process and get this going, a whole design, and yet what now? Must be reassemble themselves. And make sure we're all in the room just for a touch basis so we can keep this moving. Can we do that, sir?
Yes, and Miguel, that's what you just mentioned. That is that something that you had to make in Miguel, or you were just saying that as a possibility in the future? So,
well, I've had meetings with each of those parties. Certainly not the hotel, because I don't deal with the you know, entities that want to go into that development, but as it relates to the developers, I've had a number of meetings with Harry Kitchens. I've had a number of meetings with the Holder Group as well, but I've never had a meeting with all of them in the same room at the same time to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Right.
So,
You got conflicting interests, right? So that's why you need a project manager as neutral, guys. One more time, third party that pulls everybody together. In the meantime, Deputy, go to Chris Pumphrey, please, and let him know the outcome of this meeting, that this needs to happen before next Thursday, and that this is important. The very thing that he asked for, we need him to help facilitate and run block on a couple of items. Can you do that for us?
Sure. And Vice Chair, you'd like ourselves, everybody that's involved with.
We'll take offline the parties to be.
Okay, we'll do.
Got it.
And
Duly good. Miguel, we got this.
Okay,
No action, but duly enough, we'll take it up, let the meeting minutes reflect that we're passing this on to the Board of Commissioners next work session without a recommendation, but acknowledging that a stakeholder meeting will occur before it is presented. All right, with the power speak. We'll just leave that as the comments. You guys know what it means. Okay, Miguel. Next item.
yes, all right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the New Manchester High School sidewalk project. There's two elements there. We need to have a task order for right-of-way acquisition estimates. We have a proposal from one of our on-call consultants, BM&K, and they have given us a proposal for $6,200 to provide estimates for us to be able to negotiate acquisition on of the 4 or so parcels needed on that project. So what I need is a recommendation from the committee to the full board to approve a task order to BM&K in the amount of $6,200 in connection with the New Manchester High School sidewalk project for right-of-way acquisition assistance.
Obviously, we know this is a very important project that we've been working on for quite some time. Obviously, sidewalks, operational safety, mobility, etc. So this is just the next step in that process as we move further along. Maybe do you guys have any objections or any comments regarding this matter before I call a motion to move it forward as a recommendation to the full board?
No objections.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Miguel, you guys, you might want to wait. Okay. Let's keep this one moving. This is important. Miguel, give me a motion so we can move it, please.
Okay, yes, I make a motion that the committee recommend to the full board to award a task order to BM&K in the amount of $6,200 for right-of-way acquisition assistance on the New Manchester High School sidewalk project.
Thanks. You have the motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All right. Any further discussion on this item? If none, we'll go around the room accordingly. If you need to signal some other kind of way, somebody run block and make sure we capture all the votes of the voting members that are here presently. Kelly Robinson votes yes.
Ramona Jackson Jones votes yes.
Frederick Perry votes yes.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley, yes.
Miguel Valentin, yes.
Ron Roberts, yes.
Keith Cowart, yes.
There's something to get all 7 vote to move forward. Miguel, send that forward to the full board of commissioners.
Okay, great, thank you. And in connection with the same project, we're going to have to file an encroachment permit application with GDOT. It is required for any project that we undertake on a state route. In connection with that permit application, there's also an indemnification agreement that is required. Essentially, we would stipulate that to the extent allowable by law, and of course this would go to legal for review, that we would indemnify the state based on the work that we're proposing to do in connection with the project. So there's 2 elements there. So Madam Chair would need to sign off on the application itself and also the indemnification agreement. So this would need to go to the board for approval for Madam Chair to sign.
My question to you is that, does it require the board to pass a resolution and authorization, or is this administrative? What do the rules require?
It only, not a resolution as such, only granting Madam Chair the ability to sign the application is what would be required. So there's a form that has a signature line for her to stipulate to that agreement, and so it would go before the board as an action item to allow Madam Chair to sign off on the application for a right-of-way encroachment permit.
All right, so this is I'm going to go with administrative concurrence to send it to the full board. Obviously, it's between Madam Chair once we do that and the legal to make sure that we're indemnified. So it's not a legislative matter; it's just an authorization matter. So I call for a motion to move this agenda item to the full board of commissioners to administrative concurrence. I'm going to go around the room, guys. If you concur, yes. If you don't, say nay. But we can move this forward. Kelly Robinson, I concur.
Ramona Jackson Jones, I concur.
Frederick Perry, I can concur.
Keith Cowart, concur.
Ron Roberts, concur.
Miguel Valentine, I concur.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley concur.
All right, Miguel, go straight to the board with this. All
Okay.
right.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the Highway 5 and Douglas Boulevard turn lane intersection improvement project. There is an item on the agenda for a time extension with the city on that agreement. We had some discussion yesterday about that, so I don't know how much additional discussion we need to have today, but certainly I will offer this. That project, because again, is also an estate route, also requires the encroachment agreement and indemnification agreement to go to GDOT. So I would need a similar authorization for Madam Chair to sign off on the application and the indemnification agreement as well on this project.
So is that what you're asking right now?
Yes, it is.
All right, guys, I motion through administrative concurrence to send it straight to the Board of Commissioners for both the application and indemnification for this project number. So, Kelly Robinson concur.
Ramona Jackson Jones concur.
Frederick Perry concur.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley concur.
Miguel Valentine concur.
Ron Roberts, concur.
Keith Cowart, concur.
It's all the way around. All right. That's it. Set. We got unanimous concurrence to go straight to the board with this as the previous item for commitment for authorization for Madam Chair and ultimately for County Attorney Coleman to tighten up the legal part. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the change order number 2 on the Maxim Road Sidewalks project. That project is about 85% complete, but there are some items where we need additional quantities to be able to complete the project. The Corbett Group, the change order number 2 on that project is in the amount of $8,214.51. We also need to give them a time extension on the contract until August 8th of this year. So change order number 2 is for a time extension and in the amount of $8,214.51.
Committee members, do you have any discussion on this item? Obviously, again, Maxim Road is a very important project. Another instance of how the board responded when we lost one of our citizens for lack of sidewalks. I'm going to go back and we'll obviously be talking about this over the next couple of weeks. Is the need to strengthen our infrastructure. The citizens usually say, Chris Robinson, we actually like it sloppy. That's not like it's not like Fulton and like Cobb, but can we get some street lights? Can we get some sidewalks? Right, so there's a balancing act, and while I appreciate the county, it's growth from agricultural and rural to what it's become now. there's still elements that have to be in place. There's too many people. There's too many pedestrian and car touch points that this we're and that costs money. It costs money. It is an investment. But the citizens are important to allow what they call safe passage. They should be able to move along easily and coexist with tractor trailers and with other people in cars. And so we're just talking about sidewalks. We know it. We got it going forward. We get that. Economic development, all of our code says you got to put sidewalks down. But we're saying there's times when we got to go in here strategically and close the gap on certain things. It's got to go with like a retrofit and to tie off certain areas that expose us. So duly noted on this one. Again, this is a project that you're working on it. Obviously, working with Cobb County across the line right there as well. The citizens are very pleased with that intersection redesign. I've heard a lot. I've been through it. People reply, thank you, Miguel and GDOT for y'all taking care of that. The sidewalks is just the second part of that to extend it. So if there's no further question on this, guys, I'd like to go ahead and make a recommendation, since this is a dollar amount and a budget impact, to make a recommendation to the full board with the committee's blessing. Miguel, can you call the question?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Make a motion that the committee recommend to the full board to award or to approve change order number 2 on the Maximum Road Sidewalk project with the Corbett Group in the amount of $8,214.51.
All right, we got a motion. Can I get a formal second?
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this matter? All right, I'll call the question of a formal vote for a recommendation to the full board. I'm going to go around the room and you will say yes or no. Kelly Robinson votes yes.
Mother Jackson Jones, yes.
Perry, yes.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley, yes.
Miguel Valentin, yes.
Ron Roberts, yes.
Keith Cowart, yes.
All right, 7-0 unanimous vote to move this forward to the full board commission with a recommendation for the amendment to the Maximum Road project. All right, Miguel, let's go. It's almost there. Back on the turn.
Get it. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is actually a discussion item on the SPLOST categories. There was some discussion at the board meeting yesterday as well.
Yes. All right, so let me take this, Miguel. So yes, there's some conversation. Is David Good out there?
He's here.
Is he?
Yeah, I see him.
Commissioner.
Right, so to that point, we won't make this long. We won't belabor this. I think for courtesy, Madam Chair, welcome. I know you're just observing, but nevertheless, I think it warrants saying that you are a core part to the Transportation Committee. The goal of this one was, in both cases, the Finance and Transportation Committees were both on standby for whatever the board decided during the work session, whatever conversation they were going to be. The Finance Committee meeting, there was to come up with the capital improvement plan that must be delivered to the Board of Commissioners by next Tuesday. You don't have time for a month to clean it up and take time. Our decision is now. Go with what you have now. It's a balance sheet. It's all relative. The list is not going to change. What you're trying to do is get an order of magnitude. It's called order of magnitude. That will help shape categories. Right? And at the end of the day, it's up to the board. So that was finance. This one was a placeholder, Miguel. We had already put this in place, guys. It's a talking point. But I think that I wanted for the clarity, because Miguel, you're best at this. David, can you put up the transportation one, the slide that you have? And Miguel, in your mind, I want you to walk us through your definitions, because I know we tried to hear yesterday. I want to give you a full spot. Those four, use the T-SPOS one, David, 2022. Get that to Miguel. And Miguel, walk through each one of those and what they mean. And then we can have a conversation. Like, if you had to make a straw man, the board will make the decision. Yes, like Director Duke said, yes, the board will determine or does appropriations. But we still would like to get some insight from you. So if you had your, wand, like, okay, how would you spread this out, Miguel? And it's only show the T-SPOS one. And talk us through that. First, educate us, and then take a stab, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. The company.
Y'all blow it up. Can you see it? As long as y'all can see it, I'm fine.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, go ahead, Miguel.
Yes, the basis for the assessment would be the comprehensive transportation plan was completed last year and adopted by the board. And it identified the needs over a span of 30 years for the county to improve the road infrastructure and to provide some maintenance. So some of the items that floated to the top of the list as priority from the public and as part of that process was resurfacing, maintenance, road maintenance, resurfacing, and also there was quite a bit of discussion about larger projects, the tip projects or the either arterial or collector road projects, road extensions, like the Reroad Extension, for example, and large road widening projects. So it has become abundantly obvious that the funding that has been available through the general fund and even through the regular SPLOST it has not been sufficient to cover the needs of the larger projects. So there would, as part of a SPLOST, there should be an emphasis, I would think, on making an allocation for delivery of those larger projects that make quite a substantial impact in the county. Also, the residents have time and time again expressed the desire to have more road maintenance. In fact, we get that on a regular basis. Just this morning, I had an email from a citizen that wanted to know how to get a petition going to add the subdivision on the resurfacing list. And it just happenstance that one came in this morning, but they come in on a pretty regular basis. So that's not anything new. What is new is the extent of the need that's being expressed by the residents. We're able to cover in the regular SPLOST an allocation of about $3 million a year based on pricing that gets us around maybe 10 miles with current pricing. To be able to resurface every road in the county over a 20-year period, it would take at least an allocation of $8 million a year. So obviously $3 million in a regular SPLOST, you'd be looking at another $5 million allocation for resurfacing within a potential T-SPLOST. So it's relative. You have a sense of what's been accomplished with the means that we have, with the funding levels that we have up to now. But obviously the recognition is there that there's a lot more that could be done and perhaps should be done. And the question is, how do we get the funding to meet the need?
All right, so Miguel, hold that thought. So I'm keeping the structure. So I just want you to free flow, but I want to hear you and I want to capture this. So you're saying $3 million is currently what we've done for resurfacing traditionally per year. I got it. You're saying another 5. So David, keep up with this. I want to follow his logic line because we need to pay attention. And it's all relative. It doesn't bind him. We know this, but I'm trying to learn and be informed as I go through this process. So that's $8 million per year. All right. So that's 8 for transportation for that area right there. Miguel, is that 8 strictly residential, or is it others? Because right now, I mean, only this one quarter, and as he just showed, we haven't awarded the contract for Brookmount, Mount Vernon, and Graythorne to be resurfaced. But you're in there. And I know we have a list that, we obviously resurface, but does that 8 include, is it 8 totally residential or 8 is resurfacing together?
That would be 8 together, but let me clarify from this perspective that the $8 million allocation on an annual basis is to allow the county to resurface every road over a 20-year span. That is a long time as well. One of the thoughts and discussions that we've had before is that perhaps if there is a T-SPLOST, there would be a stronger push to get us moving in that direction. So 8 million over a year, over 20 years, will resurface all the roads. But if we have the ability to accelerate that, then obviously a larger allocation will get us there quicker.
Right. Duly noted. So 20 years, so I want to get it down to 10 years, cut it in half. So I'm talking about 16 to 20 million.
That's correct.
All right, Dave, write that down, upper and lower band. All right, got it. Miguel, keep going. I don't want to belabor this, but you see my flow. Can you walk through each one of those like that and just give us?
Sure. And the grants for the larger projects, those are big ticket items as well. And of course, we would be looking at a 5-year period initially. So if we're looking at 120 million for the projects, and over 5 years, you divide that by 5, you're talking about essentially $25 million a year would be for moving the grant matches, economic development, whatever tag you want to give that, tip projects, the larger projects, major road investment or major road construction. That would be 25 million a year.
Not to exceed that. Keep going, Miguel.
Then the maintenance percentages, again, whether this is intended to cover the resurfacing, then if that's the case, then part of the maintenance would be in resurfacing. If it is intended to be the mowing and landscaping and other issues as well, that based on the allocation for resurfacing, I would say that would be a lower percentage, perhaps. That might be along the lines of maybe 8 million or so for maintenance. And one of the things that, and I don't know which of these categories would be best to put this in. There is a need for equipment. Now, of course, if it's strictly transportation, then equipment could be associated with maintenance. And if that's the case, then I would say I would move that to 10 million then to cover maintenance needs and equipment, the mowing, the picking up trash along the road, landscaping, all of those improvements. I would say that's about a $10 million investment there.
Right. David, keep that separate. So we got the resurfacing, let that stand alone. Let this maintenance component that he can, because he's mentioned that a couple of times. Let it have a standalone bucket for right now, just in your comments. Just keep it there. Okay, Miguel, keep going.
Okay. The operational improvement and safety project, essentially those are typical SPLOST project where you have intersection improvement, you have traffic signals added, turning lanes, widening a radius to allow truck traffic to move more freely. All of those operational improvements, it could be replacing the signal controllers, adding sensors to facilitate more efficient movement. Those operational improvement projects add up to a lot because most of the SPLOST is in that category. Most of the SPLOST projects are in that category. So I would say that is probably another $25 million investment there.
Good. You get all the buckets filled?
It looks like the only, yeah. I mean, this would be for a T-SPLOST. That'd be all transportation. So yes. Right. Other than the maintenance, not the maintenance, project management.
All right. So understood. Project management, understood. Put that'll be whatever the rate is. All right. So to Chair, all I want to do is just frame this. It says that we had a totally dedicated penny that is being obviously balanced out with people who visit the county. Sales tax, special purpose local sales tax. Total transportation. So David, good. What's the total number roughly?
That looks to be about, if we go to the high end of that resurfacing, that would be, what is that, 80 million?
Yeah.
All right, so you got, that's 80 million. So that means that, okay, that's almost what, 3/4 of a penny? If it's $100 million, I'm doing easy math. We can do all that with 3/4 of a penny. Fraction. Now I would do the whole penny, but you get my point. You got some room left over. That's just a baseline. This is not to bind us. It's the whole, it's something we can carry as a conversation into next week, but it's not, that wasn't the intent here, is to bind with the recommendation. Now quickly, now David, go to 2022 SPOS and only focus on transportation. And I'm going to show a comparison. You have a totally dedicated T-SPOS and do this, what we just talked about. Or you can go into the normalized SPOS. And so, Miguel, that purchasing power went from what, 80 million to what? Based on the current confines. David, how much have we spent in transportation with the current configuration of 50% or 51%?
I believe that the total is around, I believe it's 61, I think it's about 61 million that we're going to end up spending throughout the resident SPOS. I don't know what it is for right now, but we have put down there's going to be about 60 million. It was going to be 51. It was going to be 50 when we added 10 million to it with the reforecasting. So it totaled out to be almost $61 million.
That makes sense. No, 51% of the 100 million. Yeah, got it. All right. So plus 10 million plus that with even obviously going above and beyond. No, that makes sense. So, but let's just say not the growth. Don't bet on growth or above the line. It's the baseline. So we're going to go back to the 50 million. So we got 50 million versus 80 million. Now you can do 50 million plus this 80 million to 130, or you can take the transportation out of the regular SPOS and just have totally dedicated non-transportation to totally dedicated transportation. That's the conversation next week. What will the board do? Right? And so again, at the end of the day, they know they have needs. Again, it's not that the board is voting. The board is simply passing a resolution to put it before the public. The public will decide how fast and how much we do, not the board. The power always lies with the voters. It is the public's decision. So how we frame this, though, they trust us to be intelligent, and we write them 17 words and we put it on that ballot, we better have it right, so they can make an informed decision. But nonetheless, it's not the board that is making a decision. All we're doing is like, okay, well, here's the structure, here's what we're agreeing to. We got to go ask for permission. Right? You don't dictate to citizens, you ask for permission. Right? This is a referendum. So again, I just want to frame this conversation. I don't want to go beyond this, because I don't want to bind us. That's not the intent. And so Miguel and David, you guys did a good job. You captured this. But I want to have this conversation with my peers, Madam Chair, and we look forward to a healthy conversation over the next week or so on the future of this county. Tonight's conversation regarding program management, the decisions that we're making in this meeting, recommendations, guys, we're already in play. The question is, do we keep at the current pace, or do we go faster? Right, we got pent up needs. That subdivision is key. Now we can't. We only get to do it 3. We've only done 3 subdivisions. I don't know how many subdivisions we've done. Miguel, I'd like to know that data, but how many subdivisions have we knocked down so far over the course of the SPLOS? I know you've been aside a couple of them, but what are they?
Well, Commissioner, it's hard to answer that question directly because we haven't been able to do entire subdivisions. We've essentially gone in and done a few roads here and there.
And it's even looking at that point, we're incomplete. And that's not a good look. And citizens get upset when we have to cul-de-sacs, or we have to roads and stuff. It matters. It's just like, hold on, we paid for this. And again, it's not about us or staff. I'm just saying that it's the expectation that says, okay, guys, we get it. We get major arteries. No, we got to go to the doctor, got to clean out. But okay, I got to get to these other ones too. They're curb appeal. When they pull up, they want to make sure when they pull out their driveway, everything's smooth. They get Riverside. They get Fairville. When they get Veterans, but what about my subdivision? Right? You come into the bumpy roads in front of their nice house or whatever the house is. House nice is relative. And they want to be able to experience their tax dollars on a daily basis. But let's pause here. Miguel, we did a good job. To the other committee members, y'all want to weigh in on this topic? Again, you're not being bound, and your comments won't obviously influence the wrong way, one way or the other. But I'd be interested in y'all. Are y'all following this logic? You see the structure that we laid out? Okay.
Yes, Vice Chair, I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Okay.
The structure is fine. The subdivisions are something that I mentioned in the 2020 State of the County that keeps me awake at night. Subdivisions. Certainly, we have. I believe, Miguel, our average subdivisions in terms of paving that have not been paved about 20 years old. Is that correct?
Actually, they're older than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that tells me some things were not done prior to me coming into office, but no problem. We'll take care of it. So with that being said, I like the idea. Hopefully the T-Splosh will place emphasis on subdivisions and the dire need to address those subdivisions throughout the entire county.
Yep.
Chairman of the committee, that's all I have to add.
That's it. Well said, Madam Chair. Say your voice. Anybody else? Okay, guys, we didn't have to belabor it. Again, every now and then the board has to put some real work in, and this is obviously going to be important because it's going to set us for the next 5 to 10 years. And so we appreciate whatever support you guys may be called upon to provide for us as we go into this. And I know you guys have submitted information directly as directors to David Corbin and our finance department to aggregate a capital improvement plan overall. And Miguel, you've got your own, obviously swim lane, but it's still associated. And we'll work through this, guys. So, Miguel, is there anything else on the agenda? Can we just go ahead and wrap this?
It's a wrap.
All right, guys, for the greater good, is there anything else anybody else want to say when Ian didn't get a chance to speak? All right, guys, we will let that sound speak. We're good. Good meeting, very productive. If there's nothing else that needs to come before this Transportation Committee of June 22nd, 2022 of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, let this meeting stand adjourned. Thank you, guys.